Hey there, and welcome back to our channel. Have you ever wondered what happens after we die, especially when we don't behave very well? Get ready, because this is going to be a controversial video. Let me tell you a story. You know that corrupt politician, or those people who mistreat animals, or those people who test your patience with their ignorance and malice. You know, people who live their lives driven by greed and selfishness. Maybe you are one of those people. Well, have you ever wondered where these people go after they die? Now imagine these same people waking up in a place where the air is thick with fog, the sun never fully rises, and every breath feels heavy. The sky is always a murky grey, and the moon, when visible, is a haunting shade of red. This isn't a scene from a horror movie. It's the eerie realm known as the Umbral, or the threshold, as some religions or doctrines say. The threshold is said to be a place where spirits with low vibrations go after leaving the earthly plane. It's a realm filled with mist, darkness, and a sense of heavy, suffocating air. But what really goes on in this mysterious and often terrifying dimension? Despite its dark nature, the Umbral is a reflection of the earthly plane, complete with cities, deserts, mountains, and valleys. It's a place where spirits must confront the consequences of their actions and emotions. For some, it's a prison, for others, a temporary home, until they can elevate their vibrational state and move on to higher realms. The threshold. The destination of the vast majority of spirits who leave the earthly plane after death is a region located in a parallel universe in the so-called fourth dimension. It occupies a space invisible to our physical senses, extending from the Earth's surface to heights of dozens of meters in our atmosphere, encompassing the entire circumference of our planet. The climatic conditions of the threshold follow patterns equivalent to the terrestrial location where it is found on the physical plane, as well as the passage of time. In other words, if it is night over a city, it is also night in its equivalent in the threshold. The umbral atmosphere is constantly taken by a dense mist, which hinders the penetration of sunlight and moonlight. For its inhabitants, it is as if every day were a long, dark, late afternoon. In the sky of the threshold, it is not possible to see the stars, and the moon always appears with a reddish color, semi-covered by thick clouds. Its largest population concentration is in the densest occupied regions on the globe. According to reports from mediums and practitioners of astral projection who visit the place, the threshold is a depressive, distressing environment, very dirty, taken by repugnant odors, with a heavy and suffocating climate and air. For perhaps the majority of spirits who dwell there, the threshold is a terrible region, an abominable place. For others, it is the place they chose to live. They feel good there, in vibrational and evolutionary harmony with this dimension. Even its vegetation is a reflection of the energetic pattern practiced there, varying according to the region of the threshold. The variety of plants is small, and the trees are usually short, with little or no foliage, with dry and twisted trunks. We are talking about a region inhabited by billions of disembodied spirits, far more than the beings who are embodied in the third dimension, and with various levels of density, from the lightest to the heaviest energetically. For this reason, it is a vast region, where there are also desert areas and rocky places, as well as mountains, valleys, rivers, caves, swamps, like a distorted mirror of what is found on Earth. There are some types of animals and birds. Often, God allows animals disembodied on Earth to accompany their former owners who are trapped in the threshold, bringing love and comfort to these troubled spirits. As here in the third dimension, spirits tend to group by affinity. For this reason, there are numerous cities inhabited by similar spirits. Some cities are more organized and even cleaner than others, depending on the density of that region of the threshold. All cities in the threshold have leaders, called by various names: governors, mayors, masters, emperors. In common, the keen intelligence in opposition to the very low moral level as they consciously practice evil. These beings are what many religions call demons, and not without reason. They are scholars of magic, know nature very well, and love power. They hate the practice of good and persecute the good, fearing that they might jeopardize their leadership position. These evil leaders, or black magicians, have groups of spirits who follow them blindly. These spirits believe they are free, but in reality, they are slaves. At the slightest mistake or attempt to escape, they are severely punished and brutally tortured, without even the relief of death, as they are already dead. The cities have constructions similar to those found in decadent regions on Earth. The largest properties belong to the leaders and their protégés. There are also grand places for parties and for holding trials, as each city uses different laws created by their leaders. There we also find libraries filled with books dedicated to everything evil and negative that can exist. Many books and magazines published on Earth are created and published first in the threshold, especially those with pornographic content. The same goes for much of the music that reaches the earthly plane. Life on Earth and in the threshold functions as large schools where we learn through love or pain. God gave us free will. Everything is permitted to us. We can practice good or evil, but the consequences of each act will arrive sooner or later. With the passing of years or centuries, the spirit learns that the only path to liberation from suffering and the achievement of full happiness is the practice of good. And remember, no one goes to the threshold as a punishment. After disincarnation, the spirit goes to the place that best matches its vibration. When it wants to improve, there are those who help. When it does not want to improve, it stays in the place it chose. There is no eternal suffering. All who suffer in the threshold will one day be rescued by good spirits and taken for treatment in spiritual colonies. This is so they can return to their evolutionary journeys in better conditions, heading towards higher vibrational planes in the future. What's your take on all of this? Are you one of those people who holds the traditional concept of heaven and hell? You know, the idea that hell is a place full of fire with little devils poking you with a pitchfork? Let me know in the comments. And what about you? Do you know anyone who might end up in the Umbral? Do you think you might? Share your thoughts below. By the way, take a look at our video about the 9 physical signs you may have of mediumship, and also the video that complements it, about the mental signs of mediumship that you may be experiencing without realizing it. I'll leave the link to these videos in the description. Also, check out in the video description where I'll leave links to some books that I highly recommend to the readers. Big hugs, and thanks for supporting the channel. Thank you for watching.